died, eyes wide open, mouths frozen in terror. And in every case, the doll was there. There are stories we tell in hushed tones, tales buried beneath layers of silence, shared only when the night is deep enough, and the room feels cold without explanation. This is one of those stories. It didn't start with thunder or with blood. It started with a gift, a porcelain doll, small enough to fit in a child's arms, but heavy in ways no one could explain. Its eyes were glass, but somehow they followed. Its dress was sewn by hand, stitched with fabric no one recognized, and no matter where it ended up, the air around it felt still, as if everything was waiting for something to happen. The first owner was a girl named Lily. She named the doll Annabelle. Not the Annabelle. This one was different. This one was older, cracked in places as though it had witnessed things no one should ever see. Lily loved the doll, talked to it, slept beside it, told it secrets. 3 weeks later, Lily was found at the foot of the stairs, her neck snapped clean, her face locked in terror, eyes wide open. The doll was beside her. The second owner didn't believe in curses. Michael found the doll at a flea market, laughed at the vendor's warning, and took it home as a joke. His girlfriend said it gave her chills. The dog refused to enter the room it was kept in. Michael kept it anyway. 4 nights later, he never woke up. A silent heart failure, they said. But his expression, that couldn't be explained. He looked as though he saw something that made him stop breathing. The doll was sitting on his chest when they found him, and so it went. A collector, a priest, a woman who tried to burn it, a man who locked it in a box and buried it deep in the woods. Each one gone, each one with that same frozen face, that same wide stare, that same silent scream. And each time the doll found its way back, untouched, spotless, waiting. There's no name carved on its back, no manufacturer stamp, no story of who made it or why. Only a growing trail of loss, and a pattern so chilling it can no longer be ignored. Because it's not just how they died, it's how they looked. As though in their final moments, they weren't looking at the doll, they were looking at something behind it. But what if the doll isn't done yet? And that's where this story truly begins. If your heart raced even once, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe to stay one step ahead of the shadows. It began in the winter of 1873, in a forgotten village tucked between the Carpathian Mountains of Romania. Snow blanketed the rooftops like ash, thick, silent, and suffocating. The air held the kind of cold that found its way into your bones and never left. In that village lived a man named Ionel Daciana, a quiet, reclusive doll maker with ink-stained fingers and hollow eyes. His workshop stood alone at the edge of the forest, where even the trees bent away, as if refusing to stand too close. Ionel had once been a father, a devoted one. His daughter Serena was his world. They said she had a laugh that could melt frost, and a voice that made crows go quiet. On the rooftops, but one cruel spring, a fever swept through the village. Children fell first, and Serena was among them. She died in his arms, her eyes pleading, her lips trembling as if she still had something to say. He never spoke again. For months, no one saw him. Smoke no longer rose from the chimney. The workshop windows stayed dark, until one day, the village children claimed they saw him in the woods, digging under the pale light of the moon, whispering her name into the soil. When he returned, he brought back a doll. She was dressed in a faded green gown, threaded with human hair so fine it shimmered under candlelight. Her eyes weren't painted, they were glass, but deep inside them, something moved. Some said it was just the flicker of the candle, others swore it blinked. These stories don't just entertain, they warn you. Subscribe now and never be left in the dark again. The hauntings begin. That winter, Ionel reopened his workshop. But he no longer made toys for children. He made only one thing, more and more dolls, each one lifeless, mass-produced. But one was different. He spoke to her. sat with her, fed her, sang lullabies. He claimed Serena was still with him, that her soul had not passed on, that her spirit lived in the doll. The villagers avoided him until the fire. One night, screams echoed through the hills. The workshop was ablaze, flames licking the sky like fingers, and yet the snow around it did not melt. By dawn, nothing remained. No walls, no beams, not even Ionel's body. Only the doll sitting upright in the soot, untouched, her green dress pristine. Eyes open. The first death. No one wanted the doll, but curiosity is louder than caution. A noblewoman visiting from Bucharest took her, intrigued by the craftsmanship. Within a week, her house staff began to quit. They heard whispers in the walls. Clocks stopped at 3:17 a.m. every night. Her parlor grew cold, even in summer. She was found dead in her bath. No wounds, no sign of struggle, just her face, frozen in horror, eyes open, mouth parted. And the doll, sitting at the edge of the tub, her hand raised, as if she had reached out. A servant fled the house and spread the story. And from that day, the legend began to grow. Never touch her face, or she'll remember yours. The urban legend spreads. Children dared each other to whisper to her through mirrors. Old women left bread at crossroads to keep her away. And in the heart of the village, a mural was painted. Her image blacked out with ash, her eyes scratched out with iron nails. They say she vanished for decades, reappearing only when someone disturbed her rest. And always, someone died. The doll's curse across time. In 1912, a traveling photographer bought her from a collector in Paris. Every photo he took after that had a shadow in the frame, long, thin, with fingers like broken branches. He gouged his own eyes out 2 weeks later. In 1944, during the war, a soldier found her in a crate inside a bombed church in Krakow. He sent her home to his sister in the countryside. His entire family was dead within a month. Poison? Gas? No. Their hearts stopped, one by one. The doll was found in the basement, standing. In 1965, a medium tried to cleanse her. He laughed at the warnings. The tape recording of the session, still preserved, cuts off after 5 minutes with the sound of static and a child's voice whispering, "You touched my face." The pattern no one noticed until it was too late. Every victim had one thing in common. They either looked into her eyes too long or touched her porcelain cheek. And in every case, their bodies were found in similar condition, eyes wide open, mouth agape, as if they saw something that should not exist, as if the doll showed them something before they died. A new beginning, and now she's gone again. No one knows where she is. Maybe in a museum basement, maybe in a collector's vault, maybe she's been sold at a garage sale by someone who didn't know better. But wherever she is, the rules remain the same. Never take her home, never speak her name after midnight, and above all, never touch her face, or she'll remember yours. They thought it was only a legend. A tale spun in candlelight, told by old women with trembling hands. But evil never dies, it just waits to be discovered again. 1984, Lyon, France. The year was 1984. Autumn had begun to rot at the edges, and the sky over Lyon hung gray like damp linen. A cold drizzle fell over the cobblestone streets. Vendors at the flea market on Rue du Foyer covered their wares with plastic sheets, hoping for one last sale before closing. That's where Henri Delacour found her. Henri was no ordinary man. He was a collector of rare dolls, eccentric, reclusive, and wildly obsessed with the macabre. His collection, spanning centuries, filled every room of his stone manor just outside the city. Bisque dolls with cracked cheeks, wooden marionettes with missing strings, Japanese ninyo with lacquered eyes, even death masks, but nothing compared to what he found that day. The find. The vendor was an old man, hunched and shaking, who spoke no French Henri could understand. His table was cluttered with junk, rusty tools, broken clocks, water-stained books. And then he saw her, wrapped in yellowing lace and faded green silk. The doll lay at the bottom of a box, her face partially covered by cobwebs, her eyes closed. Henri's breath caught. She wasn't beautiful in the traditional sense. Her features were too sharp, her eyes too deep, her presence too intense. He didn't ask for a price. He didn't haggle. He handed the man all the francs in his wallet and walked away, cradling the doll like a relic. The manner. Henri placed her in a glass display case, trimmed in silver, at the center of his study. He named her La Fille sans sommeil, the girl without sleep. He told his housekeeper never to touch her. He kept the study locked, and slowly, he began to change. The diary begins. Weeks later, Henri's journal entries grew strange, disjointed. At first, they were observations about her design, the stitching on her dress, the precision of her hands. But then, day 14, I heard it last night. A whisper, low, like someone standing just behind me. It said my name. Day 21, she moved. I didn't imagine it. Her head tilted left. I hadn't left her that way. I'm certain of it. Day 29, I dreamt of Serena. That name. I don't know it, but she said it in the dream. Her voice was cold. She was standing in fire, but the flames didn't touch her. He stopped attending auctions. He boarded the windows of the study. He stopped answering his housekeeper's knocks. The descent. Neighbors noticed Henri's manner growing darker by the week. The gardens overgrown, the windows sealed. At night, lights flickered patterns, flashing in intervals like code. And one night, screams. Not loud, not frantic. Just long. In. When his housekeeper finally called the police, it had been days since she'd heard movement. They broke down the door. The death of Henri Delacour. Inside the study, the air was bitter. The fireplace was cold, though ashes were fresh. All the mirrors, every single one, were shattered. Tiny fragments covered the floor like ice shards. Henri was found slumped in his armchair. His hands were clenched into fists, his mouth hung open, and his eyes wouldn't close. No signs of struggle, no injury, no toxins. The coroner's report was brief. Cause of death unknown. Facial expression consistent with extreme terror. Doll found resting on his lap. They locked the study and sealed the house. But here's the thing. When the police cataloged the room, they listed every doll in the case, except one. The doll moves again. The case was empty, the glass unbroken, the latches still sealed, no signs of forced entry. And yet, the doll was gone. The diary was confiscated, later dismissed as the ravings of an unstable mind. But those who read it never forgot what they saw. And in the margins, on the final page, scratched in a different hand, she knows your name now. Across borders, across time. Weeks later, in a small village outside Salzburg, Austria, a young girl disappears. Her room is undisturbed. Her bed neatly made, but in the center of the pillow was a doll. Green dress, porcelain face, eyes wide open. A pattern reemerges. Wherever she goes, she leaves no footprints. No fingerprints, no blood, only faces, twisted in fear. She does not walk, she does not speak. She waits for hands that will hold her, for someone foolish enough to touch her cheek, for someone curious enough to look into her eyes for too long. Never touch her face, or she'll remember yours. Never speak to her reflection, or she'll answer from the other side. Never close your eyes while she's in the room. And now, she's on the move again. Some say she's in Eastern Europe. Others claim she was sold on the black market during the Yugoslav wars. And more recently, a grainy photograph appeared on a haunted objects forum of a doll in a green dress sitting in the background of a secondhand toy shop in New Jersey. No one can confirm it, but everyone agrees on one thing: the face never changes. But the eyes are watching. The house was beautiful. 3 stories tall, pale brick with a wraparound porch and windows that caught the sunlight just right. It sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac in Greenville, South Carolina, surrounded by hydrangeas and white picket fences. It was the kind of place where nothing bad was ever supposed to happen. Until it did. For every soul that subscribes, another story stays buried. But the moment you look away, that's when it begins. The gift. Her name was Marta Ellis, mid-30s, kind, patient. She'd been a nanny for over a decade, known for her calm demeanor and love of old books. She read poetry aloud. She played Mozart for the children. She came highly recommended. The family loved her. So when she returned from a weekend trip to a local antiques fair with a gift for 5-year-old Alyssa, no one thought anything of it. "I saw it and thought of her," she said with a smile. It was a doll, dressed in faded green velvet, her porcelain face flawless, her dark hair braided down her back. She didn't look like a toy, she looked real. Alyssa named her Clara. No one taught her that name, she just knew it. The drawings began. At first it was subtle. Alyssa began to draw the same girl over and over again. In the corner of a page, behind a tree, peering out of a mirror, pale skin, black eyes, no mouth. "She told me not to draw her smiling," Alyssa whispered one night. The parents laughed it off. Kids have wild imaginations. But Marta stopped laughing. She began to notice the doors. They'd be closed, then open, locked, then swinging. One night she heard footsteps, tiny barefoot footsteps on the hallway tile. She assumed it was Alyssa sleepwalking, but Alyssa was asleep, still tucked beneath her covers. The nightmares. Alyssa started screaming in her sleep every night. 3:17 a.m. Always the same cry, "She's in the wall, she's in the wall." They brought in a therapist. The therapist said the drawings were disturbing, but not unusual. She gave them calming exercises, lavender oil, music therapy. But Marta started having the dreams too. The security camera. The parents, desperate for answers, installed a security camera in Alyssa's room. Just to ease their minds, it caught nothing at first. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, at exactly 14:03, while the parents were at work and Alyssa was playing downstairs, Marta entered the room to tidy up. She turned to the display case where Clara now sat. She paused. She began speaking, but no one was there. Then she screamed. She backed into the corner of the room, pointing at something invisible in front of her. Her mouth moved rapidly, but there was no audio, just static. Her body shook. She collapsed. The video cut out. The bathroom. They found her an hour later. The bathroom door was locked from the inside. The mirror above the sink was shattered, glass scattered like confetti across the tile. And Marta was in the tub, drowned. But she wasn't alone in the water. Floating beside her, dry, untouched, completely clean, was the doll, Clara. The police report. The autopsy revealed no trauma, no drugs, no signs of struggle, just water in the lungs and a single word scratched into the soft skin of her forearm. Serena. When the officers reviewed the footage, they couldn't explain the missing audio, nor the fact that the camera battery drained to 0 in 5 seconds, a brand new system professionally installed. Alyssa's silence. After Marta's death, Alyssa stopped speaking. She didn't cry. She didn't ask questions. She simply sat in her room staring at Clara from across the floor. When her mother gently asked about the doll, Alyssa whispered, "She told me Marta saw too much. The doll was taken away, locked in a safety deposit box. Buried beneath the floorboards, thrown in a fire. It didn't matter. Every time they tried to get rid of her, the same thing happened. She came back. Sitting in the corner, watching. The family moves. Eventually the family fled. Left everything behind. House, furniture, the doll. The new tenants lasted 6 weeks. They found a note carved into the baseboard of the nursery, barely visible to the naked eye. "Don't bring her upstairs. No one lives there now. The property is abandoned. But sometimes on stormy afternoons, locals say you can see a faint shape in the nursery window. Not a child, just something. And watching. The YouTuber's death 2018. San Diego, California. Just another clickbait gimmick. A late-night eBay purchase. A haunted doll from a so-called mystery box. The kind of thing people watch between midnight snacks and nervous glances at their bedroom doors. But for Jordan Wells, known to his 300,000 subscribers as J Dark, this was going to be his breakthrough series. He had no idea. This wasn't just content. It was a curse, and it was waiting for an audience. The box. The package arrived at 2:44 a.m. He filmed the unboxing under low red lighting for effect. He laughed when he pulled out the doll. Oh, hell no. Nope. This is ugly, bro. Green velvet dress. Porcelain face, slightly cracked. Eyes that didn't shine. They absorbed light. He turned her toward the camera. Say hi to Clara, I guess. He didn't know the name, but he said it. And the room went quiet. The series begins. Jordan made a whole playlist, the Doll Cam, 24-hour haunted watch. He set up cameras in his room. One pointed directly at Clara, another watched his bed. The third, motion triggered, watched the hallway. He live streamed while he slept. Donations poured in. Bro, her eyes moved. Go to 144.7, look at her hand. She's turning, man. You're not seeing it? Thousands watched, millions of views. Each night more disturbing than the last. One night his microphone picked up faint breathing, but he was asleep. His notes. By the second week, Jordan wasn't joking anymore. He stopped doing outros, stopped reading donations. He started mumbling during the streams. Things like, "Don't look at her too long. She watches in the mirrors." There's something in the hallway. His community thought it was a bit, a slow burn viral arc, but the notes on his wall said otherwise. On paper taped above his camera, he had written, "She's learning what scares me." The final stream. It was October 27, 2018. Live, alone with the doll, or no cuts, no edits. He sat in front of the camera, pale and gaunt. The doll was in his lap. He said almost nothing for 34 minutes. Then at 12:33 a.m. he whispered into the mic, "She's here." The stream glitched, audio cut out. Visuals stuttered, the screen pixelated, black lines slashed across the frame. Then, silence. Darkness, stream offline. The investigation. Viewers flooded his Discord. Some tried to call him, others thought it was a PR stunt. But when police entered Jordan's apartment the next day, he was still sitting in the chair, eyes wide. Mouth open, his body cold, rigid. The doll was at his feet. The camera was still running, recording static. But when detectives reviewed the final footage from his private backup camera, at 12:33 a.m., just before the stream went black, you could see Clara blink. What they found. There were claw marks on the inside of Jordan's bedroom door. Scratches. As if someone had tried to get out. But the locks were intact. No signs of forced entry. Nothing broken. No one else in the footage. Just Jordan and the doll. The aftermath. The live stream was removed by YouTube. Too disturbing. It was flagged over 2,000 times within the hour, but it was too late. Clips still exist. Blurry TikToks. Reddit frame-by-frame breakdowns. Obsessed fans whispering the same thing. She looks at you. If you pause it just right, it's like she sees you. Even now, urban legend. Some say if you watch the final 33 minutes on a Friday at midnight, and don't blink, you'll hear him. Jordan, stop watching. Please, stop watching. Others say the doll was never recovered, that it vanished the moment the paramedics arrived. Waiting for someone else who needs views. Content is temporary. But the stories, they stay. Especially the ones that want to be seen. 2007, St. Bastian's Cathedral, Milan, Italy. He had seen darkness before. He had cast it out, challenged it, bound it in holy names, and driven it from the trembling lips of the possessed. Father Luca Moretti had spent nearly 4 decades in the service of the church. He was no stranger to suffering, no stranger to evil, but he had never encountered a silence so loud. Until the doll arrived. The arrival. There was no sender. Only a plain wooden crate left on the church steps one rainy October morning. The front label was burned into the wood. For Father Moretti, she has waited long enough. At first, he believed it to be a prank. He'd heard of the viral videos, the superstitions, the doll that had turned collectors, children, and internet personalities into cautionary tales. But Father Moretti wasn't afraid of stories. He brought it inside, and within an hour, he sealed off the chapel. The journal, he began documenting everything. What started as rational skepticism quickly turned into trembling confession. Day 2, temperature falls when she's near. Candles flicker, even when unlit. Day 5, I hear breathing from inside the reliquary cabinet, but I am alone. Day 9, the doll is no longer where I left her. 3 times now, always closer to the altar. Day 12, it doesn't want to be free, it wants to be recognized. He stopped sleeping in his quarters. Instead, he locked himself inside the sacristy at night. A circle of salt around his bed, crucifix clenched so tight it bled into his palms. The cleansing attempt on the 13th day, he called no one, not the diocese, not Rome, not his fellow priests, only God. He prepared the chapel at midnight, laid the doll upon the altar, lit 33 white candles, recited rites of purification in Latin, his voice shaking with each verse. But as he read the final line, the fire went out, every candle, simultaneously. He later wrote, I heard her say it, clear as thunder, mine. He woke up 6 hours later, still in the circle of salt, but the doll was gone. Not ready to subscribe yet? Leave a comment below. What's holding you back, logic or fear? The Final Mass. October 31st, 2007, All Saints' Eve. The cathedral was full, over 200 in the pews, candles burned on every window ledge. The altar gleamed in silver and gold. Father Moretti took the pulpit, but he was not himself. Pale, sunken-eyed, hands shaking beneath his robes, he spoke in tongues during the gospel reading. Some say his voice overlapped, 2, maybe 3 voices at once. Children began crying. A woman fainted in the 3rd row. And then, it happened. He clutched his chest, stumbled forward. Eyes rolled back, foam at the lips. He fell at the foot of the altar, clutched in his arms. Her cracked porcelain face now smeared with blood, her eyes wide open. The security footage. After the mass was evacuated and the authorities called, the church's security logs were reviewed. 3 separate staff members recorded the same thing. The lights went out the moment he fell, all of them, even the emergency exits. And in that darkness, we heard it. A child's laugh, not from the speakers, from the altar. When the power returned, the doll was gone. No one saw who took her. No alarms were triggered. Only Father Moretti remained, still clinging to his crucifix. His final journal entry tucked inside his jacket pocket. It read, if you find her again, do not try to banish her. She isn't a demon. She is something older, something that remembers. The Vatican's response, the church issued no official statement. The cathedral was closed for 6 months, renovated, re-sanctified. Father Moretti's death listed as a heart failure during Mass. But unofficial whispers in Rome began to circulate. Some say a sealed relic was delivered to the Vatican's underground archives. Others say the box was burned, but it wouldn't stay burned. And others, they say she still visits cathedrals, especially during Mass. especially if the priest dares look into the crowd and sees a little girl no one else can see. Final whisper. She doesn't seek exorcism, she seeks remembrance. Every soul that touches her adds to the story, and the story never ends. The teen's silent end 2021, Portland, Oregon, USA. She didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in going viral. At 16, Kayla Jensen was like any other teen with a ring light and a sense of humor. Funny, sarcastic, a little weird. She made TikToks with her cat, fake crying filters, and bad lip syncs to Billie Eilish songs. She wasn't scared of much. Not even the box she found on Depop, labeled Authentic Haunted Doll, only buy if brave. The price, $13. She thought it was funny, a Halloween joke. But by the time her final TikTok was posted with just 5 haunting words, "It keeps moving, I swear," nobody was laughing anymore. The purchase. The doll came wrapped in black velvet. No bubble wrap, no card, no seller name. Just a sticky note inside the box, "Do not put her near mirrors." Kayla filmed the unboxing. Her first TikTok about it got 47,000 views. She named the doll Lilith, put sunglasses on her, made her dance to sped up audios. Her friends commented things like, "She's actually kinda slay, put her on your bed and film it." So she did. That night, she posted a video of Lilith sitting on her windowsill, captioned, "She hasn't moved, LOL. Yet." The next morning, the doll was on her floor, facing the bed. She thought maybe her cat knocked it over, but her cat wouldn't go near it. The next story might be the one that keeps you up at night. Subscribe now, before you hear it alone. In the dark, the videos get darker. By the second week, her TikToks weren't funny anymore. The comments changed. "Kayla, you look tired. Are you okay? Was that shadow behind you? At 012, why is she in your mirror?" She stopped replying, stopped using filters, stopped showing her room. Her videos became quiet. She barely spoke, only stared into the lens, eyes heavy, mouth slightly open. In one, she typed over a black screen, "Every night I wake up at 3:03 a.m. and she's closer." The family's descent. Her mom, Diana, called the school, said Kayla wasn't sleeping, said she screamed in her sleep, woke up with bruises she couldn't explain. Her little brother refused to enter Kayla's room. He said the girl in the dress talked to him when it was dark. Her father installed a motion sensor camera in the hallway. It triggered every night at 3:03 a.m., always facing Kayla's room, always showing nothing. But the sounds were terrifying. A whispering voice, breathing, childlike footsteps, and once, a giggle. The final TikTok, January 14th, 2021, 10:44 p.m. Kayla posted her last video. No music, no edits, just her face, lit by a single lamp. She leaned into the camera, eyes glassy, lips pale, and whispered, "She's in the mirror." But now, she doesn't need it anymore. The screen cut to black, and in the last frame, if you freeze it, you can just barely see the reflection of the doll, smiling, when Kayla wasn't. The morning after, her mother found her at 6:11 a.m., still in bed, blankets untouched, face pale, no pulse, eyes closed, mouth slightly open, as if she'd been speaking when it stopped. The room was freezing. Every mirror had cracked, even the tiny one inside her phone case. And the doll? It was sitting quietly on the windowsill, looking outside. The autopsy. No signs of trauma, no underlying conditions. Medical examiners report sudden cardiac arrest in sleep, but her TikTok account was deleted the next day. Family didn't request it. The page was gone. Comments gone. Backup drafts, all wiped. Except for one screen recording still circulating online. From the final video, where if you slow it down, you can hear something under Kayla's last whisper, a faint child's voice, echoing, "Your turn." Aftermath. The doll was taken by a family friend, locked in a glass case in a garage. They said it's been quiet ever since, until someone tried to take a photo. The image came out distorted, a warped reflection showing not the doll, but a mirror. And standing inside it was a teen girl, silent, eyes open, watching. She doesn't want to be feared, she wants to be followed. And when you watch her, you bring her closer. The Investigator's Final Tape 2023, Salem, Massachusetts, USA. He said he wanted answers, but what he really wanted was proof. David Klein wasn't just a paranormal enthusiast, he was a skeptic turned hunter. Known on YouTube as the Skeptical Dead, he'd spent 5 years debunking fake ghost sightings, recreating haunted TikToks, and exposing paid actors in viral horror content. But this time, he wasn't debunking, he was chasing one story, the one that refused to die. 7 deaths, 1 doll. Too many coincidences. He started uploading a docu-series, tracing Lilith, the cursed doll timeline, but he never made it to episode 5. Episode 1, the pattern nobody wants to see. David introduced the series with footage of himself surrounded by a wall of connected photos. Victims from 1870 to 2021. Locations pinned across Europe and America. Zoom-ins on post-mortem photos, police reports, and shadowy CCTV stills. He whispered, "Every death happened during sleep, ritual, or video. Every witness described childlike laughter. And in every single case, no one ever sees who moves the doll." Comments poured in. "Why is no one talking about this? Bro, this is scarier than the Conjuring lore. Are you sure you want to do this?" He smiled in the video, but his eyes didn't. Episode 3, The Nanny's House. David filmed himself entering a now-condemned townhouse in New Jersey, the site of the 1990s nanny drowning. His camera glitches as he enters the child's former room. The walls were still marked, dozens of childlike crayon drawings. Each one the same little girl. Black dress, blank eyes. But one drawing was different. It had been added recently, not by a child. It showed a man holding a camera, and behind him, the doll, drawn from above. Episode 4, The Collector's Vault. In France, David tracked down a private collection believed to hold cursed or taboo items removed from circulation. He documented a sealed room, showing the curator's handwritten note. Item 77th, La Poupée Maudite. No mirror contact, no light exposure. Do not speak to it, but David did. He filmed the box, ran EVP recordings, played back the audio. But when slowed to 10%, it was unmistakable. His own voice, whispering something remembered saying, "He never. She's not the doll. The doll's just the door, the hidden compartment." In a bonus live stream uploaded 2 nights later, David shared a bombshell update. He'd received an anonymous tip, coordinates to a small thrift shop in Northern California. The doll had been spotted in the back, behind cracked porcelain teacups. He claimed he bought it for $11. He showed it on the stream, hands cracked, face still, eyes shut. "I think this is it. I'll be back in a few hours." He ends the stream abruptly. The screen goes black. Viewers never saw him again. The final file. The only trace of what happened was leaked from a cloud backup 2 days later. A corrupted file titled final_tape.move. In it, David whispers, "She wasn't made to contain a soul. She was made to anchor it." He places the doll on the table, pulls a small rusted sewing blade, begins slicing through the doll's dress, then the chest. He pauses. His hands start to tremble. There's something inside. Cloth, bones, its teeth, a shape behind him, a childlike giggle, and then screaming, long, guttural, bones snapping. The last frame before the crash, the doll, eyes wide open, staring into the lens, and smiling. The aftermath. Authorities found David 3 days later. His body was strung from the ceiling, suspended by string, every limb dislocated, bending at impossible angles, like a marionette. A microphone had been shoved down his throat, playing audio on loop. A child's voice, repeating, "He opened me." The doll? Gone. You can investigate her. You can question her. You can even record her. But the moment you try to understand her, she understands you. And when she knows your voice, she never forgets it. The Stranger in the Shadows 2024, Detroit, Michigan. He didn't have a name anymore. People just called him Graves. Maybe because he always slept near the old cemetery gates. Maybe because of the way he stared at you, like he knew how you die. He wandered the alleys behind the antique shops on 9th and Elmer, and that's where he found her, in a broken wooden crate, wrapped in stained lace, propped beside a trash bin like someone had changed their mind at the last second. The doll, still, silent, waiting. Graves picked her up, cradled her like a child, and whispered, "I remember you." The warnings begin. Within 2 nights, people noticed the walls, spray painted in blood red, long looping letters like a child's hand trembling. Over alleyways, garage walls, dumpsters, every message the same: greater than she leaves the eyes for last. Nobody took it seriously, just graffiti. Another schizophrenic whispering madness into concrete. Until the news report started. A city bus camera caught it. Graves, standing at a downtown corner, 3:12 p.m. Sunny day. He's alone, talking, but his hands were raised, like defending himself, and his eyes were fixed on something only he could see. Then, without warning, he spins, screams, drops to his knees. The coroner's report says, no trauma, no cardiac event, heart just stopped. But in the freeze frame of the footage, 2 seconds before he falls, a small shadow crosses behind him. No one was there. And the trash bin beside him? If your lights flicker tonight, don't say we didn't warn you. Subscribe for safety, or risk hearing that voice again. The people he spoke to. A woman named Clara Jensen, who runs a soup kitchen nearby, claims she spoke with Graves 2 days before his death. She said he grabbed her wrist tightly and whispered, "She likes warmth. That's why she follows sleepers." Then he looked toward the door and hissed, "Don't look at her when she's close. She's still trying to remember her face." Clara never went back to the soup kitchen. Doll not found. The coat pocket. Police who recovered Graves' body found something in his coat pocket, a tiny porcelain shard, hand-painted, part of a doll's cheek, with a sliver of eye, wide, open, unblinking. They tried tracing the antique pattern. They couldn't. It didn't match any known European or American doll lines. Not French, not Romanian. It was older, as if the paint had been layered over something else, like it was hiding whatever had come before. The wall that won't stay clean. A month after his death, the city painted over all his graffiti. But one wall, behind the old antique shop, keeps bleeding through. No matter how many coats, every morning the same message reappears. Bright red, as if still wet. "She walks when you sleep." He tried to warn us, but we looked away, because madness is easier to ignore than truth. But now, we all dream of her. And when we wake up, the shadows are closer. Theories and supernatural pattern. They say history forgets what it can't explain. We've tracked a known timeline of what is now referred to as the Lilith doll. Across centuries, cultures, continents, 7 confirmed owners, and 7 identical deaths. And Dollmaker's daughter, 1872 fire, facial terror factory fire, owner died alone. French collector 1984 sudden mirrors shattered diary whispers death described. Nanny 1990s drowned in bathtub CCTV captured invisible figure. YouTuber 2018 final stream ends in scream camera caught doll moving. Priest 2007 died mid-sermon wrote, "It doesn't want to be free." Teen girl 2021 died in sleep TikTok caption, "It keeps moving." Investigator 2023 found strung up tape ends with screams. Despite the years between them, all victims shared these 3 elements. No witnesses, no billion escape. Every death happened when no one was watching, except for the doll. 2. They documented disturbances, from whispers in the walls to hearing their names called when no one was near, hallucinations, or direct manipulation. 3. Their facial expressions at death, identical, eyes wide open, mouth slightly agape, as if they saw something. Too late. Theory 1, possession. Interview, Dr. Eva Thorne, paranormal historian. We've seen this pattern before in West European folklore, especially 19th century Romanian villages. Dolls made in mourning, designed to house a soul. The twist? It's not always the soul of the dead being preserved. Sometimes, it's meant to trap the restless. There are carvings on the earliest version of the Lilith doll, old funeral runes, pagan, pre-Christian. This wasn't a toy, it was a vessel. Theory 2, demonic anchor. What you're describing is not a ghost, it's a familiar, a spirit that binds to emotionally vulnerable individuals. It does not want freedom, it wants a host. The doll acts as bait, and once accepted, it begins the transfer. It starts as whispers, then isolation, then sleep paralysis. It wears the victim down, until they're hollow enough to enter. Theory 3, object-bound haunting. Interview, Lena Jiro, artifact researcher, Japan's Silent Shrine Archives. This phenomenon aligns with cursed object legends across Asia, particularly dolls or statues that serve as avatars for trapped rage or forgotten injustice. I've seen dolls with human hair, teeth, even blood sewn into them. Some are created not for remembrance, but for revenge. The Lilith doll may not want to be found. It may want to be known. There's a difference. Other findings. No electronic devices survive more than 3 hours near the doll. Hard drives fry. SD cards corrupt. Live streams end in static or screams. Mirror reflections are inconsistent. Some owners reported seeing the doll move only in reflections. Final recorded message from the French collector's diary. It's not what she is. It's what was done to her. Unsolved. Why does she only choose one at a time? Why does she stop for years, then reappear? What happened to the original creator? And most disturbing of all, what happens if someone tries to destroy her? Some say she's the spirit of a wrong child. A few believe she was born from rage, grief, and ritual, forged by hands that couldn't let go. But whatever she is, she's not done. Because someone, somewhere will find her again. Pick her up, look into her eyes, and then the pattern starts again. Where is it now? Some say the doll was destroyed. Others claim it was buried beneath a cathedral. But if that were true, why are people still seeing her? Global sightings. In the last 18 months alone, over 400 unverified reports have been posted online. Photos, blurry videos, and shaky live streams. The sightings span continents. Romania, a tourist claims she saw the doll in a locked church display, only to return and find the glass shattered. Philippines, a school janitor reports finding a porcelain doll inside a locked closet. No one claimed it. The school burned down 6 days later. Louisiana, USA, a viral TikTok showed teenagers exploring an abandoned house. At timestamp 041, the doll appears just behind them, sitting in a rocking chair that begins to move. That video? Deleted, but not before it got 1.2 million views. A Reddit post, 2 weeks ago. In a now archived Paranormal Truth, a user posted the following. Thread on. You empty skis 33. My sister just bought a creepy antique doll off Etsy. It looks exactly like the one in that haunted YouTube video. The eyes are off, too real. She laughed when I told her it could be cursed. I haven't heard from her in 3 days. Her phone rings, but no one picks up. The last thing she texted me was, I think it moved. I didn't touch it. I swear it moved. Redditors tried to locate her Etsy shop. It was already deleted. The account wiped. Haunted doll mystery boxes? eBay and Etsy were flooded this year with listings for haunted dolls. Most are hoaxes, but one seller, known only as Whispered Last 13, had a product description that read, handmade, antique, vessel intact, not responsible for what follows. Do not break eye contact. Same crooked lace collar. Same broken pupil. Final whispers. So, where is it now? No one knows. Some say she waits in an attic. Others think she follows whoever speaks her name aloud. One thing is certain. She doesn't stay lost for long. If you're watching this, if you've made it this far, you've already invited her in. She knows your face now. A new owner? POV narration. Immersive. Whispered. Claustrophobic. The viewer is now part of the story. You've watched it all, haven't you? The deaths, the warnings, the eyes, but you didn't look away. She likes that. If a box showed up at your door tomorrow, no label, no sender, just your name in faded ink, would you open it? Would you touch her face? Would you look into her eyes? Would you hear her whisper? Just like this, I see you watching. She does too. Don't sleep yet. Mr. Horrific Tales, subscribe if you dare. Comment what you do if the box arrived at your door. Next time, the cursed mirror that showed people how they die and made it happen.